Ghost Mall by Warren Weber. Chapter 5, Uncovering. When the hour ended, they all trudged back to the meeting spot in weariness, with anticipation in their hearts. She works hard for the money, played when they arrived. Will you stop that for a moment? Yelled Glenn, weary of the joke. The music stopped, but followed by devilish giggles from the ceiling. He still hoped to look in Raycon's back room for an exit, but the clerk walked by on her way to the checkout lanes, so he couldn't pretend to have seen her go to the bathroom. Glenn couldn't think of another reason to go back there, and he just left when his watch showed his hour over. Lester appeared in front of them in a flash of yellow light. At this point, they were overtired to be amazed by the magic anymore. How come you're all back here? Your hour isn't finished yet. But my watch shows that it's an hour now. Did the store clerks have to tell us? The one in Raycon said nothing when my time was up. Realizing, Mr. Lester said embarrassedly, I'm sorry, you misunderstand me. We're so used to our time, and we live much longer than you. So an hour for us is 1,000 days for you. Shock and rage filled Glenn up to his hair tips. He heard outrage and heavy breathing from Erica next to him, and Anwar and Tessa behind him. But you realize that you made the mistake, not us, reasoned Glenn, shaking in a grasp of hope. Can't you let us go now? How much work are these fun items supposed to be worth? Asked Erica. Looking serious, Guy retorted, I don't think you realize how hard it was for us to make them. They paused, suddenly concerned. How hard? Asked Anwar. Oh, not that hard, actually. Guy suddenly brightened. Then the music quietly played again, and Twisted Sister's Burn in Hell started. The mall was getting mad. But seriously, why should we let you go so soon? We're finally getting satisfaction out of some of you humans. If you're so amazing and powerful to make us passed over, then let us at least laugh at your supposed greatness. I thought you admired us for being smarter than the average human, Glenn tried. Yes, but you're all humans nonetheless. But who passed you over? We don't understand, Tessa bleated. Lester silently stared, set annoyed at her. He brightened again and said, We won't be cruel. We know you need to sleep and eat, and that won't be taken out of your time. You can still have fun here. We won't deny that to you. But honestly, you're all running around in pointlessness out there. Why fuss about it in here? To show how the fun can continue, we'll let you work in different areas now. Anwar, you can replace your uncle in Raycon. Mr. Benson, you can go to If I Only Had a Pizza in the food court. Your wife could be dazzled in our jewelry store. And Tessa, Valerie likes you and misses you. You can come back to Zweekul. On top of the 1,000 days here, Tessa was especially horrified to see that nauseous creep again. Glenn sat down in front of the trees with his head slunk in his hands. The music abruptly stopped playing Twisted Sister and played the middle of another song. And now you find yourself in 82 over and over. Glenn slowly looked up at the ceiling speaker and, a maddened trance, picked up a rock behind him and threw it at the speaker. The music stopped and an invisible ghost laughed again. But it started again with starships possibly corny, we built the city. As if out of gloating defiance. Surprising everyone, Glenn picked up a laugh. Controlling himself a bit, he said, You get it? They're aliens, playing Starship. His family admitted with pitiable smiles. Happy to see them cheer up, Guy Lester said, Let's go, dear people. Before separating, Anwar whispered to his family about how the salt's touch can hurt the ghosts, and how they get food and water. His aunt then confided about water's dissolving power on things here. Their brains started buzzing. Glenn went over to the blank wall, picked up their water cups, and handed one to each. He told Anwar and Tessa, Walk with me, Erica. He kissed his wife lovingly. I love you. We'll see you soon. I know, I love you too, dear, Erica returned earnestly and left to the jewelry store. The three walked near Raycon, and as Glenn whispered, I'll try to get some more salt and water and see if you can find any in there. Remember the fish tanks. Okay, Uncle Glenn, said Anwar, and went to the store. Glenn and Tessa turned to their destinations. Glenn glanced at the jewelry store before it was out of sight. I don't know if you'll find anything in the music store, Tessa cut in. Don't worry, I'll look around. She had no qualms about fighting off the hairspray mess. Before they reached Zweekul, he told her, You and your brother are really great kids. I love you too. Please take care. "Thank you, Uncle," she said, holding back tears. They hugged, and she went back to into Weekwool. At the food court, Glenn eyed the peachy burger counter for the salt packets, but the pizza clerk whistled and waved him over. The young, bespectacled, wiry kid clerk gave him a smile of braces and said he could sweep the court floor. Glenn nodded okay and went through the door to the left to get the broom, while covertly looking for salt or water. He probably couldn't find water since the ghost slipped out for it, but this was a restaurant and he could find salt packets. He found them on the middle level end of a shelf. Making sure the kid didn't see, he tore open a plastic bag of them, stuffed packets in his pocket, and put the torn bag under the other two, evening it to fit in. He quickly spotted the broom and went back out to sweep. Anwar met at the friendly clerk, who kindly walked him to the toy section. "I'd like you to switch the Marine Max set with the Kimber set. We like to mix and match now and then." "Okay," Anwar agreed, smiling. "And if you need any help, just ask for Aaliyah," pointing to herself. "I can be quite fun to work with," she said more slowly, and Anwar saw a slight seductive look in her eyes. Trying to hide his fear, he smiled and nodded, and she left. He didn't like this new situation. If Aaliyah was human, but she was one of these powerful aliens who could be very dangerous if he made her mad. Aaliyah being pretty doesn't help at all in the fact that she's scary, and he couldn't imagine his family knowing that he had fun with one of them. Anwar needed to find some salt, and he should try to sneak some water out of the fish tanks. Tessa could barely contain her revulsion and terror after seeing Valerie again. "Hey, babe," the ghoul called, as if they were good friends. "Hello again," Tessa politely let out. "What's your soda?" Val asked, looking at Tessa's cup. "Just water," Tessa shrugged. "I can't find water fountains here, so I should hold to this if I'm thirsty." Valerie's eyes widened with an idea. "Wait, I got it!" Then she vanished in a bright yellow flash. A few seconds later, she came back with a collection of bottles. "Don't want my best babe to get thirsty," Val said, proud of herself. The bottles were an assortment of sodas, water, juices, and beer and whiskey, in case you get bored, about the last two. Thanks," Tessa said, stunned. She didn't expect this, and even felt a little guilty for her thoughts about Valerie. She can be kind. Tessa wasn't so sure about the liquor. She wasn't so much into partying like that, especially with her family around, and she definitely didn't want to let her guard down when she and her family needed to escape from these nutcase aliens. She also didn't know if she should drink any of these gifts, even the water and soda. Would that just make her indebted, or even as seen as accepting her sentence here? But she also shouldn't offend the ghoul by drinking nothing she gave. Tessa opened the cola, took a sip, and smiled. Val grinned in satisfaction. She swallowed her gum and pulled out a new stick. A foot-long forked tongue rolled out of her mouth and collected the stick back in. Tessa couldn't smile at that. In the loud chewing, Valerie said, "What we can do here is wipe the shelves down first. In the meantime, we can talk and listen to some rad music." She turned to the stereo behind her and turned on some vapid screeching with awkward, uneven beats that she thought was clever music. She clumsily danced to it while tossing a smelly, damp washcloth behind her, hitting Tessa in the face. Val turned and fought back a laugh. "Oops, sorry," she said. Tessa tried to smile, but she couldn't. She was too irritated and disgusted. Val called, "Catch!" and threw her a spray bottle. Tessa caught in fright just in time. "We're gonna have fun." Tessa was really missing those mold eggs now. The nice thing about wiping down the shelves was it helped tune out that awful music and Valerie's chatter. Tessa half listened to her talking, enough to satisfy the ghost's ego. She couldn't believe this. Valerie isn't human. She's more powerful than humans and could thus have more interesting stories, but she insisted on having such ignorant, rude, and superficial arguments that Tessa couldn't fathom even humans having. And Val kept reminding her of other records to buy. She couldn't possibly get anything else if it was going to get her even further stuck in this mall for so much longer. She was thirsty and drank a bit more of her own water. She still wasn't sure if Val cast or did anything with the bottles she bought, but the sip of cola she had seemed normal so far. Tessa was crouched down in the back corner, almost like she was hiding from the ghoul. Looking into her cup, she remembered the task her uncle gave her and Anwar. She doubted very much there was any salt in the store. She didn't think she could do much here. She just had to be patient. Tessa, are you listening? Valerie yelled. The shock caused Tessa to spill a little water on the bottom shelf, his cassette tapes, and hit the bit of the floor. To her amazement and horror, the shelf and cassettes 20 feet around undissolved, like flame under styrofoam. The surrounding floor, too, changed to a dark, broken tile and chewed-up cement. Dark as if it was as night in an empty building, not light outside this place. Did Tessa somehow break through the ghost alien's power illusion? Was this how the mall really looked? Then, over on the left side of the hole, Tessa saw a big bag. Tessa, I'm getting mad, Valerie yelled again, and it scared Tessa back to attention. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just very thirsty. I was enjoying my water. She was so thankful Valerie didn't see the hole yet. Thirsty, huh? I bought you a bunch of bottles to drink. You could have drunken something by now. Or are they not good enough for you? Val snided. Tessa was feeling very tense. She knew she couldn't let this ghost get mad. There was no telling what she would do. No, they're very good. I really appreciate them. She quickly went over to them and grabbed a water bottle and chugged down, partly to appease her, and partly to calm and quench herself down. I just can get so caught up in my work. I can be a real workaholic and get lost in thought. I'm really sorry I made you mad. Really, really sorry, yes. Valerie looked at her, eyes glowed a bit, the big hair hovering warningly. It's okay. I guess I just got caught up in my passion. I can do that too. Hey, I bet you want to try something new to wear. I'll go over to Gallady's and find a dress fab for you. I just hope that Adrianita won't be a problem with that. Her lips curled and voice soured when she said her colleague's name. Okay, said Tessa. Sure. All right, promise to stay here? She looked expectantly at the young woman. I promise, stuttered Tessa. Val smiled, and her legs turned into the same flame-like glass as Kai Lester's, and she glided out of the store. Tessa kept an ear out for her boss and turned back to the discovered bag. It was plastic, white, and a blue front. Looking closer, it said rock salt with an unfamiliar company name. It was probably local. She knew Anwar touched that ghost with a table salt. Maybe rock salts could also work. She didn't know why water and salt had this effect on these aliens or ghouls, but it did. The family could figure it out later. She drank some more water to make room for some salt, ripped open the bag and scooped some salt into her cup. Even if it was wet, maybe it could be doubly potent as defense and escape. Valerie was getting too agitated. Tessa had to distract her away from the hole. You got enough, she thought. Now, get back to the counter. Come On Eileen by Dexy's Midnight Runners started playing, a buoyant, quirky song which has somewhat confrontational, when Val returned, with a dress that had a short black skirt and strapless, multicolored square top. Looks great, Tessa grinned, though she wouldn't present this in her portfolio. Thanks, try it on, beamed Val. Indeed, a fluorescent pale purple beamed around her for a second. Ignoring this, Tessa requested, Can you stay here, please, and look out if my uncle or brother walking on me changing? Val nodded, and Tessa went back to the hole. She was very apprehensive about putting this on if she had to disillusion this store and or Val. What if the dress disappeared and she was left in only her panties? Tessa decided to put the top up over her bra with the bra straps off but tucked under the top, and keep her clothes close for quick dressing. It was her family, but she still didn't want to run around in her underwear. Meanwhile, Valerie mentioned again her favorite bands, Scorty, Maird, and Goga. Come on, do you want to always listen to some pansy like that white girl you got or Paula Abdul? Just gag me with a spoon. She then indeed hucked out a spoon with a loud cough. Tessa couldn't hide her disgust. Val continued on, Maird's second album was #1 for 2 months, and Scorty inspires me when I need to rev up my badass. And Gaga can be really funky. You can play one of Maird's or Goga's. I've already heard Scorty. Tessa's headache hoped she'd never hear that again. She got the dress on and came to the counter. But I still don't think I can buy any. I'd have to stay here longer, and I have a career here at home to get to. Tessa tried her best not to upset the impossible phantom. Val snorted. Why is this career so important? Isn't it more important to have fun? And you can always have fun for years, all your life even, if you stay here, rent-free, in a way. Tessa had to think. The ghost was insane and easily offended. How to answer. It's okay, Valerie said. but Tessa could hear some bite from her. Did she wait too long to answer? You'll be here a while anyway. You'll have time to think about it. A pause, then she laughed. You all think you're all that, and you could use that time to realize you ain't. She kept her now unfriendly eyes set on Tessa, who felt very anxious and more frightened than she's ever been in her life. You know, about that dress, which I don't think you had big enough boobs for anyway, she sneered. I think you could use a haircut with it. A beam of hot light, like a lightsaber, shot from Val's index finger as she swiped it at Tessa. Tessa screeched in pain as she grasped the lower side of her neck. Looking down, she saw 3 pieces of her braids on the floor. She picked them up in disbelief. In mock concern, Valerie pleaded, "Oh, I'm sorry." She then evilly laughed. Tessa, breathing quickly, shakily took her hand from her neck and found blood. She didn't feel lightheaded, and she checked the wound's pulse. She wasn't gushing, just a scratch, thank God. "Oh, don't be such a baby. Have a sense of humor," Val whined. She moved up to the back end of the counter and saw the hole. She stopped dead quiet. She stared back at Tessa like a predator. Tessa stepped back, numbed in terror. Valerie rose up, her eyes glowed again, the big hair grown out bigger with small lightning running through it. Nasty, noxious hairspray smell covered the whole store. In a deep, booming voice, she shouted, "What happened?" "I'm sorry," was all Tessa could say, backed up to the other end as we cool, when the ghoul hurled a large fireball at her. Tess ducked just in time, and Val moved closer to her aisle. Tessa moved away from the aisle, closer to the hole. She knew she was running into a corner, but where else could she go? "I'll try to fix it." "How can I fix it?" "Fix it? You can't know about this and live? None of the others can know about this." Tessa got back to the hole and saw the bag of rock salt in her cup and water bottle. Valerie rose higher, above the aisles in the center of the store. Her eyes were now flames as she ready to swoop on Tessa. Tessa, thinking quickly, he poured some water on her cut braids, dipped them in rock salt, sticking it on the hair, and lent them at Valerie where she dived down at her. The ghoul screamed in pain and was shocked to find that she was quickly being pulled back into a bright orange light behind her and disappeared. Tessa stood there in utter astonishment, but also a quietly growing awe of triumph. She defeated her, vanquished her. She slayed the beast. She could say that she's a mighty warrior. A sudden exhilaration rushed through Tessa, topped by a couple of tears above her beaming grin. Then the floor, shelves, cassettes, records, and CDs, walls and ceiling all disappeared, except a bit seeping out of Sweekool's entryway. More of the dark took its place, along with more dusty, sometimes broken tiles and chewed cement like an unkept sidewalk. She could even smell the outside night air, which smelled good. Tessa looked up and saw a couple open cracks in the ceiling, and swear she can see a couple stars. Where was she? But even more wondering, why was she feeling chilly? Tessa looked down and saw how she was in her underwear. She clutched herself. She was right. The dress might disappear. She's very glad she caught that. She looked around and found her clothes next to her cup and bottle. She quickly pulled her bra straps back on her shoulders, put her red sweater on, thankfully, and hoisted her jeans back on. She may have been in a place hauntedly trapped in the 80s, but she is not going to be one of those dumb horror movie damsels clad in her underwear. She buttoned up her fly when she saw Anwar and Uncle Glenn come to the door.